welcome to episode 10, and if you're reason why I'm shaking my head, it's because the picture is flashing at me again. Let's see if we can get it to stop flashing. There we go. Anyway, this is episode 10 for 2022. It happens to be March the 12th, 2022, and it's still flashing at me. Alright, let's see what happens now. Still learning this camera. Steep learning curve with this son of a gun, let me tell you. You damn near need an engineering degree to go ahead and use this crazy thing, but hey, we're getting there. This is the second time I've tried to record this because the first time that I recorded it, I forgot to turn the mic on. Anyway, so, as you can see, we're back in the work area. Trying to see if this camera is going to work back here as well. But there's a reason, and that is because of the fact that I want to work on the bridge, repairing it. I also want to work on my, I'm hoping that this shows up without causing too much glare, my diesel servicing facility. And of course the ring light's going to give me problems. There we go. That has actually, the base of that has actually been out on the layout for a while. But I actually want to build it. I guess kind of like Mr. Foltz. I'm sorry, Mr. Bailey. Well, Mr. Foltz does all the work on the railroad anyway, but Mr. Bailey, yeah, getting the bug about building kits. I've kind of gotten to that same thing, and there's a couple things that I'm actually looking into. But enough of that. Wanted to give you all one other thing. I know I mentioned this in the last, I'm going to try and zoom this in a little bit. There we go. See if that helps with the light situation. One of the things that I have actually mentioned in Vlog 9, or Episode 9, was the fact that it seemed like folks want to see trains run, which I get it. This is a model railroad hobby, and we want to see trains run. Well, I'm going to make it a point to either at the very beginning, well, not at the very beginning, but after I show the little snippet of the railroad, of either putting in one or two rail fanning videos for the railroad, and then going into the episode, or actually going into the episode and then putting the railroad videos at the end, or the rail fanning videos at the end. So we'll see what happens. I may even decide to split it up, put one in the beginning and one at the end. Who knows? So those that are interested, keep your eyes open, because that's one of the changes that's going to be coming here probably going forward. I have run another couple of op sessions. In fact, I was running the op sessions after I tried recording the intro before, but Any rate, let's go ahead and quit babbling and get over here to the bench. And I'll show you sort of what the bridge looks like. Now, granted, from this view, it doesn't look... That's a little annoying. I tried to flip the viewfinder up a little bit so I can actually see it a little bit better and make sure it isn't doing anything squirrely. It doesn't look too bad from this point, to be perfectly honest. Sorry, wrong direction. But what I can tell you, this end, I'm not sure how well this end's loose. It looks like I've got a spot in the middle here that's also loose. Yeah, there's a couple spots on the interior of this that got knocked loose. The other parts are the ones that really irked me. This whole end is loose. In fact, it's not only loose on that end, but this end is loose as well. As you can see, none of the X-bracing that belongs in here is in here right now because that's all out on the layout. Thankfully, those didn't get broke, but they came out. So, and I know Mr. Rick had said something about, hey, just go ahead and flip the bridge around because you've got issues, you know, over here where the gusset broke. The problem with that is that was the good side because this here was the non-photogenic side. We talked about that when we did the bridge build. So I'm going to attempt to try to repair the bridge as best I can, and we'll see where we end up. I'm actually going to work on that first. I think I've talked about this in the past. This is an old copper water tower. One of the feet came off of it. It's actually out on the layout. I'm going to try and get to that at some point. I don't know if it'll be in this vlog or not, or this episode or not. The bigger thing is wanting to get at least the base of the bridge repaired because as I'm running trains across that track out there, I'm noticing it's bowing because there's no support underneath of it. So I definitely want to get this back up underneath of there. So that's what I'm going to work on first. I'm not going to show you how I'm going to repair this. I'm just going to go ahead and do it, and I'll show you the end results. So with that being said, we'll be back in a bit. Okay, so I got clamps on that end, and I've got clamps. I got a clamp up there. I'm not even sure that that's going to show up because it's way back over there. But this time I used the crazy glue to hold it together, so it's going to probably cure fairly quickly, which will be good. Which means I can take the clamps off of this, put this back on this portion back on the layout, and at least get some stability up underneath of the tracks out there, and then we can move on from there. So, actually, I did this about 5-10 minutes ago, so these are probably in good shape to. Oh yeah. Alright, so and what I thought was loose was not loose. It just looked like it. So this is back together now. So I'm going to put this back out on the layout, and I'm going to wait. I'm not going to actually wait for the other part to dry, because like I said, what I'm going to do with it is I'm going to wrap it up, and I'm going to put it off to the side so it doesn't get broke. So we'll be back. Okay, so on to the next project. And that is this dude. So I've had this kit for a bit, and I actually bought it when I had the 13-foot by 11-foot layout because I thought I could use it there, and I couldn't. So, and of course, I'm a little bit scared of this because from all the horror stories I've heard about Walther's kits, and, you know, how much fun they are to put together. Or how nasty their instructions are. So I'm not going to go into this with any type of expectation. I see we've got decals, and we've got a hose, and we've got some windows. Alright, So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that box off to the side for the moment. And we're going to take a look at our parts. It looks like we've got, well, it's molded in 3 colors, which is kind of nice. Although I'm going to be doing some painting on this to make it a little bit more unique. But, alright. So, pardon my head. I know it's probably getting in the way. I wanted to kind of take a look at some things. So, I'm guessing that the shack is actually supposed to be some sort of wood and not metal, although it looks like it could be aluminum. Well, I might just turn that into aluminum siding. I don't know. We'll see. So, and it also looks like this thing is... Oh, so this is... Okay, so this is the base for the actual fuel tank. I didn't realize that the fuel tank was... or the storage tank was separated. Okay. Alright. And gee, what do you know? That's the first thing that we've got to put together is going to be the storage tank. So, before I get into everything, before I get into anything here, like I said, I'm going to try and do a little bit of, I'm going to do a little bit of painting on this. Because I want this to look, I want this to fit. I mean, I don't like, okay, so great, it's in 3 colors. So we're going to touch this thing up a little bit. I'm not going to show you all that, but you know, you'll see progress. Last night I went through and I painted, obviously, the base here, and I also went ahead and painted a couple other things. I've got obviously touch-up work to do on these. I'm not real happy with the paint job right now, but it is what it is, and it was only the first coat. So I'm really not too concerned about that. And I also went and painted the base for the tanks. And of course, if they were during, well, never mind, I was going to say if they were during World War II, they would have been Sherman tanks. Anyway, also went ahead and put the first coat of paint on what will be the shack or the building that sits on the base. Obviously have to come back and do some work on it. And the only other thing that got painted were the walls that go around this thing here. The base for the where the tank sits. So the tank will sit on this base, and then these walls, these thin pieces here, actually go around it. So that'll be probably the next project, is actually putting that together. But one of the things I can say, and that is the fact that I was saying I went to the train show last month, back in February. One of the things was that you know, I was able to pick up some micro brushes, and I actually used one of them last night to get the sides of the where the hose for the water and for the fuel actually comes from. So this was so much easier than doing it the way I had to do it when I built the when I built the DPM kit. So I'm going to go ahead and put the second coat on some of this. Some of this is okay, and some of it's already done, so I won't have to touch it, but others, I've still got some work to do, so we'll see what it looks like when I'm done. A slightly different look. Why? Well, it's because of the fact that I realized, being back at the workbench and trying to build any type of a kit, really, was going to be a bit of a challenge. Why? Because there was no room to spread out. And I've just noticed that this thing is going bonkers on me a little bit. Let's see if I can, okay. I'm still messing with the light levels. If it starts flickering, that's because that's the reason why. Anyway, so I've moved back out here into my layout area, work area, whatever you want to call it. Well, not work area, but well, my work from home area, and I've pretty much, I've got some touch up that I want to do, but for the most part, I've gone ahead and painted the base. I went through last night, and actually this darker gray is actually, I guess for lack of a better term, a curb. So that's pretty much done. And of course there's these neat little things that'll hold up the hose reels, and I'll get to that in a little bit. This is the sprue that I still need to do some touch up on. I'm not sure how well that's showing up on camera, but the white, or actually not so much the white, but the brown needs to be upgraded a little bit. And I actually went as far in here again. I'm not sure how well it's going to show up, but you see there's two little hand wheels here. One's blue, one's red. Well, the blue one's water, and the red one, that's fuel. I actually did put the base together already. This is the base for the fuel tank. That's already been touched up. That's ready to go. And the only thing I do have to do is put the sides on. There is a base for the unloading crane. That's another separate piece. These are pieces that I didn't even realize were a part of this. Now, this is the fuel tank, and you see these parts that are like a faded orange. Those are actually walkways that go between the base sidewall curbing and the rail. And I kind of weathered them up to make them look like they were a rusty color, and I actually found a way of making them rust this time around, unlike when I was doing the other kit. So, again, I'm not going to go through the blow-by-blow of this thing, because everybody's, you know, this isn't a build crew kit, and I don't have to go into that kind of a detail. I'm sorry, I'm trying to clean up some of the mess from last night. So, I'm going to stop here for a minute, and if I run into something, I'll record. So, we'll be back. Been working on this wonderful Walther's kit, and let me tell you, just like Jason had with his, this thing was a pain in the butt, and it's still not 100%. And one of the other things that kind of irked me was when I put it into the cradle, I thought I had it centered, and then of course the glue set up and it's not quite centered. So I can't really do anything with it, but otherwise I'm pretty pleased with that. That's the fuel, basically the fuel reservoir with its containment. This is, and it's going to be hard to show, but that's the unloading crane, and this actually works. So that's kind of cool. I'm actually putting the shack together now, where the railroad operators sit, but there's the base, and as you can see, I've got the short one on the well, it's on my never mind. This one here is the fuel. This one here is the water. I haven't hooked the hoses up to it yet because I just got finished gluing the water tower in, or the water supply in, so, and I just kicked the tripod. And here it is. I keep going back and forth on the grates, because one thing I see says, yeah, you should put them in. Another thing I see says, no, you shouldn't. Depending on the era, and I'm talking about these things that are supposed to go between the tracks. You know, if you're running one era, you're supposed to. If you're running another area, you're not supposed to. At this point, I think what I may end up doing is just putting them in there because I think they're kind of cool. And if things work out the way I'm hoping, eventually there's going to be a little bit of an expansion over there on the Boeville side, and it would make sense that they would have some sort of a fluid capture system. Even though it might be a little early for things, but you know, it's just I just think it's a better way. I think it's going to look better. And I just saw the camera flashing, the light flashing again. But that's kind of the update for the moment. Like I said, I'm in the process of putting the little operations shed together. And then once I'm done with that, then I can start putting some of the other detail parts in, and we'll go from there. So we'll be back. Okay. Ever have one of those moments that you're wondering why a manufacturer would do what they did? Yeah, well, I just had one of those moments here. I'm sorry, I keep the tripod is like right here. What am I babbling about? Well, as it were, Walther's supplies this wonderful, I think it's like 22 gauge or 24 gauge wire. I'm trying to find it now. I would figure it would be on the other piece that I've got sitting over here, because you're supposed to cut it in half and then use half for anyway, I can't find it now. Basically what it is, there's little nubs on the tower, the fueling tower, the water tower, and the nozzles, the fueling nozzle and the water nozzle. And this daggone thing is flashing, and I have no idea why. Okay, any rate, so they give you this wonderful 24 gauge wire, which actually has wire in it. Really? Why would you do that? So I went looking around. I'm like, I've got to have something that's going to be better to work with than this really thin 24 gauge wire. So lo and behold, years ago, one of the guys that work, his dad had built a model railroad years and years ago. They tore it down, they got rid of it, they kept all the parts. Well, one of the things that was in there was 20 gauge wire. So what I just ended up doing was taking that 20 gauge wire, I cut it to length, and I literally, I know this is red and the original one was black, I figure I'll use red for the fuel and green for the water. Any rate, so what I ended up doing was I actually ended up pulling the wire out of the jacket, taking it down to like 4 strands, and then taking a single strand and tying it to the, wrapping it around the one end, putting the wire back in, pushing it through to where it came out the opposite end, and cut it. Pulled it back out, got the single strand back off, and then pushed that wire back into the tube, and I've still got basically what Walther's wanted, which was to be able to coil up. And of course, this stuff isn't going to stay. Well, it will. So I'm going to coil it up. You're supposed to kind of coil it up and lay it on the platform. So I'm going to do the green now, and we'll go from there. But that was the thing. So if you've got this kit and you want to do something a little bit different, try some 20 gauge wire, taking the wire out, the conductor out of it, and then putting 4 strands back in. Yeah, I think that might work. So we'll see what it looks like when I'm done. All right, I'm going to hope that this shows up right. I just finished working on the Walther's diesel refueling facility. I think that's what it's called. Anyway, Uh, I'm still not sure what I'm going to do with the oil tank over here. This is actually the diesel tank. I was originally thinking about putting it someplace else. I wasn't happy with where it was sitting, number one. Number two, I ran across another problem, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. But for right now, I'm just sitting it there. I may end up moving it a little bit, but this scene is still a bit fluid over here. Now, over to this. And I'm hoping that it shows up, and it looks like it is. If you notice, there's these neat little black spots. Well, that's spilled diesel fuel. I went ahead and did that with a basically a black wash, a little bit of black paint and a lot of water, and a micro brush, and gonna just dotted it around. Now, one of the other things with this kit was these hoses. Now, what they supply you is a piece of 24 gauge wire that still has the wire in it. It's not just the outer jacket, it's the whole shoot and match. Well, when I went to start messing with this the other night, these hoses, I did not like how it was coming, how it looked. So what I ended up doing was taking some 20 gauge wire and taking the wire out. Daggone it. I don't know why it did that. I don't know why all of a sudden this ring light is changing modes on me. Anyway, so what I did is I took 20 gauge wire, took the wire out, took it down to like 4 strands, and then stuffed it back in there to go ahead and be able to hook up to the upper part here. That's good. To the upper part here, and then also down here, you can't see it, but there's actually a nozzle. The same thing over here. If you see, there's a little blue thing. So you've got a red hose for the fuel and a green hose for water. So one of the other things with this kit that I did, at least for the moment, is just like with the county courthouse, the tops, or the roof is removable. Why? Because eventually I'm probably going to put a light in there. Now, one of the other things I did with this, and I'm not sure how well it's showing up on camera, if you notice there's like a yellow or an orange across the roof, that is where they put, I don't know what I guess they were using, or they were trying to simulate roofing tiles. Well, what I decided to do instead is I decided to make it look like it was copper. So it's copper flashing. What the hey, why not? Also, I don't know how well it's going to show up on the camera. I'm going to try and zoom in here a little bit more. And maybe try and scoot over just a bit. There we go. Hoping the lighting shows it, but there is actually rust on the upright here because this is the water hose. So it's rusting. Now, I'm going to back out here a second, because if you notice, there is a Texaco tank car sitting in the background. Well, that was another part to this kit that I did not know about, and that is the unloading rack. So that's what that is. Now, theoretically, this should probably be somewhere close to where the tank is, and like I said, I can't put the tank over here. Let me get this on camera. I can't put the tank over here because there just isn't enough room for it. So that's why I have the tank sitting over there. Now, I'm going to modify 2 of my tank cars, so they're going to come off the tank train, and they're going to be used for local service. The Boeville yard is going to get 2 tank cars a day, 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening, for diesel fuel. So that means I've got to convert this dude over to KD couplers, because right now they're all horn hooked because they were on the through freight. So I'm done. Now, the only other thing that I do want to mention here, because I haven't actually put them in yet, and I don't know how well they're showing up, is the plates that go between the rails, or the sidewalk and the rails. I have them sitting in there. I'm still debating whether I want to put them in or leave them out. I mean, if I leave them out, then it's just nothing but gray plastic. I kind of like the grading idea. I did notice that I do have to darken this one up a little bit. This one here is a little too light, but the one in the back looks good as far as the orange goes. So there we go. Oh, there was, well, I'm not even going to mention. I'll see if somebody picks up on it. So that's the Walther's diesel fueling facility. All right, so that's basically going to be it for this vlog, or this episode. This was, I believe, episode, I don't even know. I'm not even going to bother. You already know, you've already seen it. For the Walther's kit, this particular one, it took me probably about 12 hours. 12 to 14, maybe 16 hours tops. I do know one thing. After looking online, because I was trying to figure out exactly how the fuel and loading rack was supposed to work, and I'm still not 100% sure if I've got it right, one other thing I'm going to need to do over here in this yard is put in a sanding rack. I don't have one, so that'll be probably the next kit, and I've got a train show coming up in April. Maybe I'll go see if somebody's got one halfway decent price. I don't need a big one. I only need a single tower with, 2 offshoots, but anyway. The other thing that I'm thinking about doing with this is putting some lighting on the platform itself. Probably getting a set of dual masted or dual armed highway lights and putting them on the on here. I may end up putting single arms on either side, put the double arms in the middle. I don't know yet. That's down the road. I'm nowhere near ready to put that much thought into this. I've still got quite a bit of other work to worry about. So anyway, that's the update, folks. So you all know the deal. Wait for the highball. Green tracks ahead. We'll catch you all next time. Be safe. God bless. We'll see you.